The Patriarch Abraham stands tall in the Old Testament, a figure of immense significance and reverence. His life and legacy have left an indelible mark on the fabric of history and faith. He is a central figure, revered by Jews, Christians, and Muslims alike. Each of these faiths sees Abraham as a foundational patriarch, a man whose relationship with God set the stage for their own spiritual journeys. Welcome to Bible Stories and Chronicles channel. If you like to hear beautiful stories from Bible, please subscribe to the channel and like this video. Thank you. God chose Abraham to be the father of many nations, a promise that would extend far beyond his own lifetime. This divine selection was not just about lineage, but about the birth of a faith that would transcend generations. His story is a journey of faith, a testament to God's unwavering promise. Abraham's life was filled with trials and tribulations, yet his faith never wavered. He believed in God's promise even when it seemed impossible. Now, Abraham lived in a world of polytheism, surrounded by people who worshipped many gods. Yet amidst this, he heard a different call, a call to monotheism, to worship the one true God. He responded with obedience and trust, leaving behind the familiar to embrace the unknown. This act of faith was not just a physical journey but a spiritual one, a journey that required immense courage and conviction. God commanded him to leave his home and journey to a land he would show him, and Abraham obeyed without hesitation, demonstrating his unwavering faith and trust in God's plan. This act of faith marked the beginning of a unique relationship between God and Abraham, a covenant that would shape the future of countless generations. Abraham's story is our story. We all face uncertainties and challenges in life. His journey teaches us that faith is not the absence of doubt but the willingness to move forward despite it. We all grapple with doubt and fear, questioning the path ahead. But Abraham's example shows us that faith is about trusting in a higher purpose, even when the way is unclear. Through Abraham, we learn that faith requires trust and demands unwavering belief in the unseen. It is about holding on to hope and believing in the promises of God, even when they seem distant. It reminds us that God's plans unfold in His time, and our role is to trust and follow, just as Abraham did. His story is a timeless reminder of the power of faith and the enduring promise of God's love. Genesis 15 opens with a scene of intimacy. God speaks to Abraham in a vision, reassuring him and telling him not to be afraid. God promises to be his shield and promises great reward. But Abraham, though, is childless. He asks God who will inherit his house. God's response is astonishing. He promises Abraham countless descendants, saying they will be as numerous as the stars. God then leads Abraham outside. Under the vastness of the night sky, God reiterates his promise. He tells Abraham to look up and asks him to count the stars if he can. That, God says, will be the number of his descendants. God's covenant with Abraham wasn't just a verbal promise. It was a profound and binding agreement that would shape the destiny of an entire nation. This covenant was not merely spoken, it was a formal agreement, a pact sealed with a solemn ritual that involved deep spiritual significance. The details of this ritual are meticulously described in Genesis 15, a chapter that holds great importance in the biblical narrative. The ritual involves the sacrifice of specific animals, symbolizing a binding oath between God and Abraham. This act of sacrifice was a common practice in ancient times to signify serious commitments. God instructs Abraham to prepare a heifer, a goat, and a ram, each 3 years old, along with a dove and a young pigeon. Abraham diligently obeys, preparing the animals as commanded. He waits for God's next command, standing in the desert as the sun sets and darkness begins to envelop the landscape. As darkness falls, a smoking pot appears, and a flaming torch passes between the animal pieces. This dramatic event signifies God's presence and his active participation in the covenant. God himself is passing through, enacting the covenant in a tangible and awe-inspiring manner. This covenant carries immense weight and significance, not just for Abraham but for all his descendants. It promises Abraham a son, Isaac, through whom his lineage will continue, and land for his descendants. This land is Canaan, a place that will become central to their identity and history. Canaan will become the promised land, a symbol of God's enduring promise and faithfulness. The covenant signifies not only a chosen people but also a unique and everlasting relationship with God, one that is marked by faith, obedience, and divine favor. Years pass and Abraham still remains childless. Sarah, his wife, despairs. She is past childbearing age and the promise seems impossible. Human doubt begins to cloud divine assurance. Sarah takes matters into her own hands. She suggests Abraham take Hagar, Sarah's Egyptian maidservant, hoping for an heir through Hagar. This is a common practice in their time, but it deviates from God's plan. This act, born out of desperation, leads to complications. It highlights the human tendency to intervene, to try to force God's hand, to control outcomes. Sarah's actions set in motion a chain of events that bring both joy and sorrow. They underscore the importance of patient faith. Ishmael's birth, a test of faith. Hagar conceives, she bears Abraham a son, they name him Ishmael. His birth brings joy, but it also brings tension. Sarah, now witnessing Hagar's motherhood, is filled with resentment. Ishmael's birth is significant. He is Abraham's firstborn. However, he is not the son of the promise. This distinction is crucial. God has a specific plan. He has a specific lineage in mind for fulfilling his covenant. This turn of events tests Abraham's faith. Will he cling to God's promise, or will he accept Ishmael as the fulfillment of the covenant? This situation highlights a key theme. God's ways are not always our ways. His timing is not always our timing. Laughter and tears. Isaac's arrival. Years later, God reaffirms his covenant with Abraham. He announces that Sarah will bear a son. Abraham laughs. He is incredulous. Sarah, overhearing, laughs too. How can they, in their old age, have a child? But God's promise is sure. Sarah conceives miraculously. She gives birth to a son. They name him Isaac. Isaac's name means laughter. It is a reminder of the initial disbelief. It is a testament to God's power to do what seems impossible. Isaac's birth is a pivotal moment. It is the fulfillment of God's promise. He is the son through whom God's covenant will be established. Isaac's birth reaffirms God's faithfulness. He fulfills his promises, even when all hope seems lost. Hagar and Ishmael in the wilderness. Isaac's birth brings immense joy to Abraham and Sarah. Their long-awaited promise has finally been fulfilled, and their household is filled with laughter and celebration. The arrival of Isaac marks a new chapter in their lives, one filled with hope and the realization of God's promise. However, this joyous occasion also brings underlying tension within the household. The presence of Ishmael, Abraham's son with Hagar, becomes a point of contention. Sarah, now a mother herself, begins to see Ishmael in a different light, and her protective instincts for Isaac's future intensify. Sarah perceives Ishmael as a potential threat to Isaac's inheritance. Her concerns grow, and she becomes increasingly anxious about the future. The bond between mother and child is strong, and Sarah's fears for Isaac's well-being and legacy drive her to take drastic measures. In her desperation, Sarah demands that Abraham send Hagar and Ishmael away. This decision is not made lightly, and it weighs heavily on Abraham's heart. He is caught between his love for his wife and his duty to his son, creating a profound internal conflict. The moment Hagar and Ishmael are sent away is heartbreaking. Hagar, a mother who loves her child deeply, is forced to leave the only home she has known. The pain and sorrow of this separation are palpable, and the wilderness ahead seems daunting and unforgiving. Abraham is torn between his love for his son and his wife. His heart aches as he grapples with the decision. He seeks guidance and solace, knowing that whatever choice he makes will have lasting consequences for his family. In this moment of turmoil, God instructs Abraham to listen to Sarah. He reassures Abraham that his plan includes a future for Ishmael as well. This divine guidance provides Abraham with the strength to make the difficult decision, knowing that God's promise extends to both of his sons. God assures Abraham that he will make a great nation from Ishmael too. This promise brings a glimmer of hope amidst the sorrow. Abraham finds comfort in knowing that Ishmael's future is secure under God's watchful eye. Hagar and Ishmael find themselves alone in the wilderness. They are desperate, their resources depleted, and their spirits nearly broken. The harsh environment tests their endurance, and they're on the brink of death, feeling abandoned and forsaken. Yet, in their darkest hour, God hears Hagar's cries. An angel appears, providing them with water and hope. This divine intervention is a testament to God's unwavering compassion and care for those in need. God promises to protect Hagar and Ishmael. His presence is a source of comfort and reassurance, reminding them that they are not alone. This promise of protection is a beacon of light in their time of despair. Hagar's story is a poignant reminder of God's compassion. Her journey through the wilderness, though fraught with challenges, is marked by divine intervention and care. It highlights the depth of God's love and his commitment to those who feel marginalized. God's care extends even to those who feel outcast and abandoned. Hagar and Ishmael's experience in the wilderness serves as a powerful testament to his boundless mercy and the promise that no one is ever truly alone. A covenant tested the binding of Isaac. Genesis 22 presents the most challenging episode in Abraham's story. God commands Abraham to take Isaac, his beloved son, to the land of Moriah. He is to offer Isaac as a burnt offering. This command seems unimaginable. It seems to contradict everything God has promised, yet Abraham obeys. He demonstrates ultimate surrender. He trusts God even when he doesn't understand. At the critical moment, as Abraham is about to strike, an angel stops him. God provides a ram caught in a thicket. Abraham sacrifices the ram instead of Isaac. This event, known as the binding of Isaac, is a test of faith. It demonstrates Abraham's unwavering obedience. Enduring lessons, faith's triumph. The story of Abraham, Sarah, and their sons is a story of faith's journey. It teaches us about trust. It teaches us about obedience. It teaches us about God's faithfulness. Abraham's willingness to follow God's call, even when it seemed illogical, is inspiring. Sarah's struggles with doubt and her eventual acceptance of God's plan resonates with our own human experiences. The story highlights God's power. He works through human weakness. He remains faithful to his promises. The journey of faith is rarely easy. It is filled with trials and uncertainties. Yet, like Abraham, we are called to trust God's plan. We are called to walk forward in faith, knowing that He will never forsake us. We will continue with another beautiful story from Bible in our next video. Subscribe so that you will not miss it. Thanks for watching.